fear is the main activator of your character defects. Yeah? So what jumpstarts your character defects is the basis of anxiety or fear. That you're going to lose what you have and not get what you want, however you want to describe it. But basically, that Petri dish allows the defects of character to grow. Yeah? And then, that's all he says in that statement, but then if you add to it both ways, you can go, well, what happens when the defects of character get activated? Then the thought system starts getting agitated, and it starts telling me that person's fucking with me, or somehow it's another, it's now coloring in the perceptions, the distorted perceptions, it's making a story out of it, and usually I take it to be so then a decision's made, yeah? I say, that guy is screwing with me, I'm going to do something about it. Now the guy hasn't even thought about me maybe, but now he's my arch enemy, so to speak. And so when that happens, I make a decision, I'm going to do something about it, and so an action occurs. Yeah. So that action occurs, produces consequences, which I'm usually embroiled in. Yeah. And then maybe other people get embroiled in it. And sometimes after the flurry of the head and the emotion and the misperception dies down, the consequences have life, yeah? You got to go to court now for the next 6 months, things happen. They find life here, yeah? You had, I was really pissed off from like 2 o'clock to 2:05, now I'm paying for the next year because I acted out from that being pissed off, yeah? So it's not a really good deal, That's how it used to happen to me a lot. The consequences really had a lot of time in them. And like the explosion was very quick, but then the after effects were really, really long. Okay, so you can see it, right? So the fear is like the Petri dish or the activator of character defects. So let's say jealousy, maybe you want to call one of that, self-centeredness, paranoia, thinking people are out to get you, low self-esteem, all these little, they're like mutated mental ideas that have found life in the Petri dish of our condition. They're finding a lot of room to express themselves, and they are, through us, yeah. And they spawn other defects, and then you got a huge population of all this stuff that's crowding your life. So, alright, so the defects of character, let's say jealous. So I'm jealous, and I'm thinking my girlfriend may be doing something, Now, I would never think of that as long as she was just the girlfriend, but when it became my girlfriend, I feel like it's like a piece of property. I have the right to survey what's going on with my property, make sure my property's behaving as my property should behave, yeah? You gotta see the mind, the idea of being the one who owns it or has it, yeah, that's where a lot of meanings comes from. So, alright, so now, the defect of character, let's say jealousy. So what happens is my mind starts thinking someone's, my girlfriend's screwing with somebody. I'm trying to break into her email to see who she's been connecting to or whatever. I'm driving around her house. It's starting to get extreme. And then I'm up on stalking charges like a month later. Yeah? So that would be, there was the fear, activated the character defect. So the jealousy was latently there, but it got a boost. Yeah, by the mind, and now it found expression through me. Yeah, there it was just a possibility, just like all the other. There's so many possibilities that you are that aren't being entertained today. You don't know how lucky you are that a lot of that stuff that's there hasn't found expression through you, because some people they're like a giant conduit for it, and all their day is fucking reeked with havoc and shit. Yeah, a lot. Seriously, I was like that. Yeah. I mean, what I go through in 5 years now, I used to go through in about an hour every day. The first hour I was up. The amount of anxiety I have in 5 years I used to have just when I woke up. I mean, it was extreme. That Petri dish was like a popcorn maker. It was popping up more mutated defects of character I never even know I possibly could ever have, So there's consequences occur. And then you get stuck with the consequences in a way. Either you got to avoid them or deny them. Somehow there's going to be a lot of reaction from where you are based on the consequences. Maybe you can say fight or flight, but there's going to be a reaction. And so what occurs is this loop gets reinvigorated because you're still rooted in that fear. Yeah. So the fear is still coloring your perceptions, and they're distorted, and then your thoughts are being agitated by that insecurity. Like, what could possibly happen to me? It's like a flurry of like a beehive getting really agitated, spinning around, they'll sting anyone that comes close to them. Yeah. This is what's going on. Okay, so now people believe that. If you had that experience, you can watch it. You can see the whole format. And then all you need is take a couple of your experiences during the day, take this thing we just explained as a template, put it on there, and you'll see that's basically what's going on, like a lot of the time. So let's take it back, which is what AA always does. It takes everything back, and sort of like in the inventory, everyone who's at a bar tonight knows why they're mad and who they're mad at. Yeah, they're all in the first two columns, but they get no relief from it. That's why they have to drink alcohol to get relief, because they never get to the fourth column to see their role in it. Yeah. So we're going to take back, all right, so I don't believe fear is the main activator. I think fear is being activated by something. Yeah. This is important if you want to get it back, because the relief isn't going out that way, it's going back in a sense. There's no out and back, but that feeling is basically going from whence everything comes instead of trying to find from where everything comes in the coming and going. It's much better to see your role in everything here. It's just clearer. It brings a huge opportunity and freedom. Alright, so what's possibly causing the fear? Yeah? What's the petri dish for the fear? Well, Bill W. answers it for us, the co-founder of Recovery. In the book, he says, why are you in so much fear today? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Let's not specify what kind of fear, or all the different mutated hybrids of fear. He's saying, basically, in one huge umbrella, why are you in so much fear today? Whatever that fear looks like, or what it's about, it doesn't matter. But the feeling that you were going through, let's say this weekend, yeah, why are you in it? All right, so everyone can start thinking, which is probably part of the problem, so it's best not to. He answers the question himself. He says, isn't it because self-reliance has failed us? Aha! Now we're getting to the exact nature of the wrong. Yeah? Fear is not the exact nature of the wrong. That's why you're not getting lasting relief. The exact nature of the wrong is reliance on something that's unreliable. What else would it provoke but anxiety and fear? You know what I mean? If someone, I was expecting or hoping someone was going to pick me up who has failed to pick me up like 5 out of the last 6 times, I'd probably be anxious about if they were going to pick me up that day. Like I used to always ask this one guy to give me a ride to the airport, and it just so happened every night I had to get to the airport, he'd go out, and he'd never show up to pick me up. So it was a realistic expectation to be concerned if I asked him again, hey, maybe I should call him up, make sure, and then he wouldn't answer the phone, and then I'd know, and then I'd take a cab, you know. It would be obvious. So when you're relying on something that's unreliable, what is going to be the effect of that? Well, what you seem to have gone through this weekend. There's going to be anxiety, usually based from what's not happening. Yeah. Just like tonight's a Wednesday night, it's very rarely a Wednesday night that screws with you on Wednesday night. It's usually Saturday and 2009 Tuesday. Yeah? It's very rarely this night that's screwing with you. Yeah. That's why it's very difficult to get relief from Wednesday night. Yeah? Because it's not from Wednesday night you're looking for relief. The relief is in Wednesday night. The relief is right now. If you could possibly be here now, which I believe is an impossibility not to be, you are here now, so there's no need to try to get here anymore. But if there was a recognition that you were here now, yeah, the Wednesday that you're entertaining the problem in would be the solution to what you're entertaining. Yeah, because it's not happening in Wednesday. It's happening last week or 5 years from now. You know, how are you going to get relief from some phantom cause when how are you going to get relief from what's not happening? By dealing with it as if it's happening. There's no way. The whole point is, if you were here, you would have immunity to there and then. I'm serious. And I'm saying you cannot not be here. This is the only place you are. I don't care how much you're up your ass of self, you're still here. So, alright, reliance on self then is the activator, the chief activator of fear. The fear then activates the character defects. The character defects activate a decision, a very skewed one usually. You're not seeing things clearly, but you're going to act very, very defiantly. You're going to have such an assuredness that guy's fucking with you. You're going to attack that situation with that surety, and it's not based on any fucking reality. Yeah. So, alright, so the consequences produce a decision. Decision produces a behavior. The behavior produces a consequence. You fucking probably don't like the consequence, but you go back and rely on the same thing, self, which is the that's totally unreliable, which is going to father and mother the fear, and the fear is going to activate this and this, and you're going to be in an incredible loop, yeah? And you're going to want relief from that loop. And if it's drinking or using or shopping, you're going to freaking do it. You're going to be almost compelled to do that. You're going to be compelled to try to distract yourself because you feel like you're caught in a loop, which you seemingly are. But the beautiful news is it can only reach the level of seemingly so. It can't be so, but it can appear to be so to you. And when it appears to be so to you, it's like the best reality there is here. Because you believe it. Yeah. So the solution is right where the seeming problem is. Yeah. Right where you are. You're the solution. Like when people say the solution has nothing to do with the problem, I beg to differ. It has a huge problem. It has a huge part of it. The only reason why there seems to be the problem is because of the skewed way the solution is looking at things. Yeah? The solution is now become the problem. The mind relying on self now becomes the active problem or the active dis-ease or the irritability, restlessness. What else is fueling it? What else could give reality to something that's not real but reality itself? Yeah? How can something that's not happening seem to have such a huge effect on us? Unless what affects everything is entertaining it to be so. Wow, me, you. Yeah. So, go to the root. Go to the exact nature of the wrong. It doesn't say go to the vicinity of the nature of the wrong. It goes to the exact nature of the wrong. He describes it very clearly. Most people think it's fear. I'm living a fear-based life, but you're not living a fear-based life. You're living an interpretation of a self-based life. Yeah? The idea of being a self is what's promoting and producing this giant petri dish so fear can be cooked up all the time. Yeah? Based on how you think, how you see things, how you react to things. Yeah? Of course, that's like the exhaust pipe of the production system. The exhaust pipe is fear. That's like the pollutant. But that's not the fear isn't causing it. It's caused by the engine of selfing. The engine of self-seeking and frightenedness. The engine of selfishness. The engine of identification as something that you're not. That's what's churning out the pollution that we're choking on all day. Yeah? We're breathing our own atmosphere in a sense. We're the factory in a way. We're producing the stench coming out of the pipes. Yeah? And yet we want to find relief or seek solace or seek shelter, but we go to the problem itself for a solution. And it's going to offer you many, many, many solutions. But none of them are going to actually point to the real problem. Yeah? Or they haven't yet. So then all your solutions will be very temporary, and yet what the longest lasting seeming event of your life will be the problems that keep happening. You'll have an irritability, restlessness, and discontent as your baseline. And then you'll be trying to strive to get at least a modicum of peace and relaxation, however you can. Yeah? And instead of having your mind flip over by realizing the failed system that it's recognizing itself as self, yeah? Waking up to that, as soon as it sees that as not it can entertain, I can be free of it. Not free as it anymore, which is a form of slavery, but free from it. And it doesn't take any time to be free from something that's imaginary. Not 1 second. Yeah? This isn't, I've made a decision to be free from self, and now I've got to take an 8,000-mile journey to get to the freedom from self. No, the freedom from self is exactly that, freedom from self. And it's assured because you're not bound to self. It only can seem to be so to you. Yeah? It can only appear to be true or false to you. So the solution isn't like after you wake up to I'm bonded to the idea of self. It's prior to it. It's that you realize that's an impossibility. There's no way in freaking hell that I'm a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. Yeah? Or a mental, physical hybrid. Yeah? And so then all the absurdities stop. You stop feeding them your interest and attention and your belief in them, and therefore their ability to influence you wanes greatly because it's your energy that they're using to influence you. Just like the Course in Miracles. I can't even say what it is. It's a trippy book. It says it so beautifully in so many ways, but one of them it says, hey, you and I here, all of us, our yous and I, are the dreamer of the dream. Yeah? Like this is like when you went to sleep last night. Last night I had this incredible dream. Chris was in it, and we were traveling around doing a talk, and we were in a nice location. It was much better than Chibo's, and we were sitting around. And it was a really very, very enjoyable dream that I had to entertain this morning before I got up. It was wonderful, yeah? It's just nice, all loving, and everyone's holding the space, stuff like that, yeah? But it's a dream nonetheless, yeah? So you and I are the dreamer of the dream. You can almost construe this as a better financed production than a dream you had at night. But it's got the same quality of being a dream, yeah? So you and I are the dreamer of the dream. Try to follow this, because this puts like the horse before the cart, yeah? This is what's important. You can't if you're trying to if you have a cold and you've taken it to be the flu, and you take all the flu medicine religiously, and you follow everything it says on the thing, you'll get a little bit of relief because the cold and flu have common symptoms, but not all of them. You're not going to have a radical relief because you've misdiagnosed. You don't have the freaking flu, you have a cold. Yeah? Yeah. This isn't truly happening. So to counteract it is not by doing a lot of other stuff. It's by just sitting with things as they are and finding out if they're so. Because all the time since I was a kid, I tried to make things unreal that I thought were so real. Yeah? By trying to make them unreal, they were as real could be. First time I ever grew up was in recovery when I let things that I was trying to avoid my whole life land on me, and then they showed me their true nature, which is they're unreal. How did they have so much power over me? By me trying to make them unreal. That's what gave them the reality. By me trying to make what was unreal, they appeared to be freaking real to me. Yeah? By me trying to make, this isn't happening like a defiant thing, but I really feel like it's happening. By trying to make it unreal, it's as real can be. When you give up acceptance in some levels, you just accept things as they are. Then as they are, they're not. That's what happens. And then after a while, all these things you thought were so real, you see them as somewhat empty, but one thing is left, and that's what you are. Not the body, but what's looking out of the body. Yeah. That's the spirit. So, all right, so where were we in this little course of information? We're the dreamer. You and I are dreaming. You and I are the dreamer of this dream. Yeah? Now we forgot, or I'd like to say it as we're in the forgetting of that. We're the dreamer of the dream. See, there's the statement. You and I are the dreamer of this dream. Yeah. But right now we're in the forgetting of that bit of information, and so this is another like sort of petri dish. In forgetting that, what happens? What gets activated? Well, what gets activated is everything I dreamt, I now give the power to affect me. Yeah? Because I forgot I'm the dreamer. I'm now taking myself to be the dreamt object.
So if there's a dreamt tiger there, I don't care how many times you tell me it's not real. If I'm taking myself to be real, that thing's real. When I wake up and I realize, hey, I'm not real as this, I see the dreamt tiger as a dreamt tiger, does it have any ability to affect me anymore? Of course not, because all of its real qualities have been dismissed by me suddenly seeing clearly. Yeah? All the real qualities I attributed to that tiger, which it could rip my throat out at any second, suddenly, not with any effort or long periods of time, immediately gets dismissed because I don't see it as real anymore. Yeah? So therefore, it doesn't provoke any anxiety or fear, because the only thing that was provoking anxiety and fear was the reality I was giving the tiger. Now that has been removed, yeah, therefore it has no way to provoke or agitate me anymore. So I now have an immunity. By how? How did it happen? Not by any yeoman's incredible spiritual, metaphysical gymnastics of the dreamt object, but no, the mind realizing it's not this, therefore that not being this is linked to everything else it's given this. Now you have a freedom from what? From the bondage of self. You have a freedom. And you don't even have it because you are it. You know, again, the language always puts us as a something that's either going to have something or lose something. But this is prior to that. You are that. You can't have it and you can't lose it. Just like in recovery it says you have it by giving it away. That's a form of having it, is by being the expression of it. But you can't have it like a bit of clothing or some money in my wallet. You know, it doesn't work that way in this thing. Yeah? But what happens as soon as that starts getting entertained, what's going to happen? Well, the dream is going to freaking change quite a lot, because the dreamer is shifting it. Yeah, it's going new. And now it may be interested not so much in things all day, and this one crazy thing crowned me. It may lose interest in that, and what will happen is described in the big book. You will lose interest in the self and gain interest in others. You will stop looking at life at what you can get from it, but see what you can contribute to it. And all this stuff, it just happens. It's not like you did anything to produce it. That would actually screw it up. There's just the selfing that generating energy that's producing all the pollutants and all the pollution, yeah, stops. Its factories, it's not producing as many products. The air gets better just over time. You know what I mean? You like to take wall walks now, because now you're not coughing halfway through. You know what I mean? You're now starting to respond appropriately to things how they really are. So now you don't have to fight to get out of what's not happening. You see it as not happening. I don't have to go into an imaginary place like one of those, like those science fiction movies where they go through into another dimension to pull one of their lost compatriots back. You know, you don't have to go in the past to get your attention and interest, nor to the future. It's like right there. And now those dogs don't hunt there anymore because there's nothing to fucking find. There's just embers of once where you were, and then future fires ready to be set by your interest and attention in the future. So now you have an immunity. So when you're in Saturday, you'll be in Saturday. And I'm telling you, Saturday's never the thing that's scaring you in Saturday. And then Saturday will have an incredible amount of invitations probably. And then you start being able to dance appropriately. Maybe there's nothing to do. Okay, won't do much, you know. Someone calls me up, hey, can you look at this job? I have some picking to do. All right, call them back. Yeah, I try to put it off as far as possible, but I go, check it out, because the fruit are hanging low, it's time to pick them, you know. This power, life wants me to maybe work, so all right, I'll do that. Someone calls me up, hey, I really fucked up. All right, I'll drive there, surf, do this, do that. Now, you're just, in a sense, you're dancing with all the different partners of a day, yeah? You don't have to make them dance the way you want. Your feet are light enough to go with whatever's happening. It's very cool. And it's very rewarding. You're very satisfied and content, yeah? It's really, It produces like a gratitude that's deeper than a fucking underground river in a way. You don't even recognize it as an experience anymore. It's just like a beating heart always in your life. Especially in the community of AA. I see people where I could be exactly where they are, but by the grace, but for the grace. And so I'm really appreciative of what's absent in this life, this experience. I'm really super appreciative of it. Yeah? And by that appreciation, that's like making love to what is, in a way. You honor it. You recognize its invisible fingerprints on everything. And you see joys and wonder and all this stuff that you used to have when you were a kid pretty freely a lot of the time come back. They never went anywhere. They were always latently available, but you weren't accessing them because you had a couple other little petri dishes, self-centeredness, obsession with self, that were cooking up these other meals that have nothing to do with wonder and joy. They have nothing to do with freedom. They use freedom as another form of slavery. They use spiritual awakening to point out to you that you're not awake. Yeah, all these things that mean like there's a word called enlightenment in spiritual terminology, which means in some definitions the complete cessation of all suffering. Like no more suffering ever, and really that there was never any suffering, basically. Yeah, that's the only complete cessation, is that you realize there never was. But let's just say, so there's this idea of enlightenment, and I just did this tour, and there was a lot of very professional spiritual seekers coming to the talks there. So there's the word enlightenment. Now you would think that enlightenment would provoke something, if you entertained it, would provoke some of its qualities that it's meant to represent. But when the selfing claims it, and gives meaning to enlightenment, it will use it to agitate the hell out of you, to find you as a mistaken one, as something incomplete about you. It will invalidate every freaking moment. Yeah? Enlightenment. It's got this incredible meaning, but how it's twisted by the selfing is it's used to further the enslavement of you to an agitated mind. Yeah? Same thing with peace. There's no peace in time. There's no freaking peace. If you have been indoctrinated into time, which selfing is, if you're feeling peaceful Friday, you'll interrupt that parade by thinking, will I be here tomorrow? Yeah? Just like I said, people, they come to the meetings, I really love these meetings, but when I go back to work on Monday, what's not happening always overrides what's happening in many people's lives. It's the dominant influence. Can you imagine that? To be in a life where the dominant influence isn't life. That the dominant influence is what's not happening. Can you imagine that? You'd want to get fucking out of that incredible vice. Yeah? You'd do almost anything. You'd watch a lousy movie you've seen 5 times already, just to distract yourself from the unbearability. Like, all this life is about me, and yet I'm never even here in the life I'm supposed to be in. I did a cartoon once. I never put it anywhere, but I thought it was a good idea where there was a flatbed pickup with these wooden slat sides, so you could put cows up there. So there's all these cows in there, and there's on the side of the car door, the truck door would be Mike's meatpacking plant. Yeah. So and they're driving to their end. And then everyone's there, and then there's one cow like this, and underneath would be the awakened one. The one cow knew what was fucking going on. You know what I mean? All the other cows were and then the one cow realized it. That's where the infinite possibility lies, is when you wake up. That's when it starts. That's when what is seemingly not there becomes ever-presently influential in your life. When no-thingness starts having the biggest influence, then what's not happening? A much bigger influence than it. Because now you're rooted right here, right in this moment. And your interested attention is right here, right at this moment, and it's enriching your lives and usually the people around you. Because now you're present. Yeah. You're just admitting the fact that's always been the case. You just finally gave up the freaking ghosts, And
and then that's what happens. All the cards get brought back. It's not you as the dealer. The dealer takes them, shuffles them again, and the whole deck is changed. Yeah, the game goes much more smoothly. So there is a possibility of being freed from the bondage of self. I believe most of us are identified as a self. Yeah, we're taking ourselves to be what you would call long-lasting, meaning something that's projected like Turkish taffy pulled in time. Long-lasting, independent, separate entity. Yeah, a thing amongst other things. Yeah, separate from all the other things, separate from no thing, just a thing, an island unto itself. Yeah. All the thoughts are my thoughts, all the feelings are only mine, no one has them. No one has my thoughts, no one has my reactions to life, no one has this, no one has that. I'm the only one. Yeah? This is called the sense of being a self. Yeah? It's not just a thought, it's a feeling. The thoughts generate the feeling. The thoughts play a big role in the feeling being generated quite a lot, because it can't generate itself. You're not a self. So self can't put out a perfume or a scent because it's not blooming. It's a fucking like a paper rose, yeah? But there's a lot of thoughts about the rose. There's a lot of pointing to the rose as the one that's smelling and the one that has the scent. A lot of inference that there's a living rose. But in fact there isn't. It's an idea that we grew into, and therefore we can grow out of it. Yeah? The mind grew into it, and the mind can grow out of it. The biggest dilemma I've seen with it, the idea of growing out of it, is when the mind believes it's grown into it, what it's grown into, it's going to try to leave as that. You're going to fall under that axiom of self can't get out of self. That's like the secondary lock. Yeah? You may have a desire to get out of it, but you're going to try to get out of it as the thing that seems to be in it. That doesn't work. Self is not going to get out of self. It's just not going to happen. No way. Yeah? So that's it. So if you realize that, the answer isn't after the problem, it's prior to the problem. Yeah? In other words, the bondage of self, the relief doesn't come from being freed from the bondage of self. The freedom comes from realizing there was never a you to be bonded to self. The idea of the one who is bonded is the product of self. Yeah? And then the idea of being one who wants to be free is also the product of self. You're prior to that. You're not a one in a field of many. You are the one, let's say. Yes? There's only mind here, and you are of that nature. It's not of a thing, it's not separate, it's not independent, it's not an entity, and it's definitely not long-lasting. It's forever. So even if your mind shifts a little bit, the difference will be gigantic. You cannot believe what a tiny little calibration change in mind can produce, because it will geometrically progress in your life story called you in time and space. Yeah? It's that one little possibility will unfold in millions and millions and millions and millions of influential events. Yeah? From that one seed, all seeds get germinated. So. And all you need is your interested attention to water it. It's already there. But your interested attention is up the ass of self, pretty much. So now you're enslaved to be interested in attending to its reality, which is time. Its dominant value is what's not happening. Yeah? And its center of attention is you as an action figure. A very flawed one at that, you know. So you're going to be like an urban renewal project your whole life. As long as it's taken to be you, you're going to find fault in it, for sure. And what does fault do? It activates a desire to have to change. The change is self-seeking the change. It's just another fucking round of slavery. On and on and on and on and on. It goes. Yeah. Seemingly. So what occurred to me, what is occurring to me now, this was the most valuable thing that's ever came to pass in my life. So I don't know how many years ago, something shifted dramatically enough that it offset the balance of what I would call this life. And
the shifting of the balance revealed itself over time as a state called traveling lighter. That's what it is for me. It didn't change the geography of my life, but a lot of roads I would have turned down, I haven't turned down again. It does change a lot of that, but I may get ill, I may have a kid, who knows, I may not. My girlfriend may find someone else that she likes more than me. A lot of things can happen. It's not promising to just rearrange all the geography of my life, but I'm going to travel lighter over every bit of it. Yeah? That's incredibly valuable. And I've known it from living it for a while now. And if there was a place to wish, I wouldn't wish for the big thing. I would wish for this little silent every moment thing. This no thing, this skimming off the possibility of heaviness every second of every day. Yours and in others too. I mean, I don't brook much fucking drama if I can help it. I try to bring to the point. I wouldn't be a good nurse probably. My girlfriend says, you're like Nurse Ratched. You don't have really good bedside manners, because I'm more like the Jesus variety. I want you to get up and walk. I don't want to fluff your pillow too much. Tons of people give me that. I want you to just get up and fucking walk. Something can change. It's a possibility. Yeah. Don't close it down with a story, because you'll get caught in your own story. Yeah, and then there'll be no way out, because the fact is you can't get out of what you're not in, so there'll be no way out. If you're in the allurement of the cherishing of self, that door can slam behind you, and there'll be no way out in a sense. Yeah. Like Jesus said, you can't serve two masters at the same time. Why not honor what has brought all this about than what's fucking sitting on it like a perch, interpreting it? Why not see that spirit moving through you in what we call consciousness, and realize there's even something beyond that, which is the awareness of the consciousness. Yeah. There you have it. So see it. If you're in recovery, why not find the roots of the things, I think the obsession with self is how the mind that's identified as self reinforces the obsession. The obsession, the idea of being something you're not, has to be reinforced for it to seem to be so. Because the blatant, obvious information that's really readily available is you're not that. So it has to have a big avalanche of misinformation to keep the story going. So I would say that's basically a pretty good apt description of your activity, the inner dialogue. It's very, very agitated, constantly agitated. And I think that agitation is sort of like the smoke screen that keeps you not being able to see clearly. And so then, if you're not seeing clearly, then all you can do is speculate. And so the mind speculates, hey, there's a thought, I must be the thinker. Speculates feeling, I must be the feeler. Speculates action, I must be the actor. Speculates girlfriend, she's my girlfriend. Speculates time, my time. But there's no one there to be the claiming. There's just claiming. There is no claimer. There is no one home. All there is the emptiness of the internal brightness of spirit, which is full as hell. But to our skewed way of seeing it, it looks empty. Because it's not a thing. It's not taking up space. So find out. It worked for me, and I'm in the same tribe as you are. I entertained the same possibilities you hear every day in the book, and instead of just being up here, where when the shit hit the fan, it really didn't have any value. It's now I'm drenched in it, so it has value in my daily life. You know what I mean? It's not like, I know I shouldn't be bothered by this, but I am. No, I'm not bothered by it. And if there's a bothering about it, I'm not that which is bothered by it. So bothering can occur too. Who cares? I'm not that. I don't care what shows up. I'm not that. whatever is at the end of the stick of claiming, I'm not that. I'm not that, therefore this, there is no this. It's just that, therefore... Yeah, it's just a story. I mean, it's locking you into an identification, and it's uncomfortable. You know, it's like being in a tight pair of pants and a jacket. That's like the mental agitation you're going through. You're stuck. Your day is bookended by yesterday and tomorrow, and all of that yesterday and tomorrow, which is full of tons of insane ideas, are flooding into this event because this is the only event that's going on. The only way yesterday can have any influence is by being entertained now. The only way the future can have any influence, it has to be entertained now. It has no fucking engine of its own. What happens? You can have something really bother you, and you do something you like, right? Or you hear a song you really like. You're dismissed from it immediately. Did it take any fucking time to pull yourself out of that dilemma? No, it's as if the dilemma didn't exist. Yeah, well, I'm telling you, that's a damn good, authentic perception right there. It doesn't exist. I've seen it. I had it with this. I was doing workshops in AA in my third year on. I'd go there no matter what. Was in some nasty conditions when I'd sit at that room, and then they'd do it. But in that hour, everything was dismissed. My physical feelings, my emotional content, my mental activity, they were all put to rest. Had no influence whatsoever. And then it was like being a hose with this download occurring. That's it. And obviously, if something that seems so true can seem not to be true, in such a sudden, it takes no time, it mustn't be so. You know what I mean? How could it be reality if it could be dismissed so easily? Yeah, just by my attention being taken from it. Yeah? Because I wanted to be attended to something else more. Just like surfing. Go in the water. There's no way Wednesday and Saturday can have any influence on my Thursday if I'm in the water. There's no chance. Oh, wait, look. None of that's going on. It's great. Find something you love and have it to be a reminder so that you don't forget this. You don't forget that you're inherently free. If you need a reminder, follow your passion, or like Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss. Follow your bliss, and it will give you a free sample of how you can travel on a much more stabilized level. Yeah. Those are our free samples. When you have your passions and you do them, there's such a dismissal of the influence of self in that time. An artist gets into the zone, a basketball player, whatever, musician. They're like clarion calls. But entertain further. Don't just put it into that cubicle, surfing, only when I'm playing music. Open up to the possibility. What's been revealed is much more prevalent than you may imagine. Yeah. You're the one. You're like the light to all the flowers. You're like the sun. The flower dances to your tune. If you're not giving it any attention, it's going to stay closed. Once your attention, it opens up, and then it reveals all these multifaceted colors and textures and smells. But you provoked it. You entertain the possibilities. We're busily entertaining impossibilities. Well, I'm just throwing it in a possibility. Entertain it. And see what happens. You may like this product, this brand of product better. Like it's producing ease and lightness, comfortable in my own skin. Yeah, I want more of that. My mind isn't agitated. Yeah, I love it. When I lay down, I actually lay down. My head isn't running in Tuesday. Yeah. It's funny. I was sharing at this thing, I was in Turkey for a while, years ago. And Turkey people are great salespeople. Unbelievable. They can sell you anything. And so when they recognize tourists, and they send a guy, and they take you to this place, to this store, and they start giving you Turkish coffee or apple juice, and they want to sell you rugs. Yeah, and there's a whole family. It's like they spin the rug out, and it's hitting the light, and it's flooding in there, and then they do, and it goes on for hours sometimes. And after an hour, it's like a tag team. They leave, and then the cousins come in, and they do more. And yet I'm sitting there going, and I had an immunity because I had no house. I was just traveling around the world. So no matter how enticing the rug was presented, I had a built-in immunity. I don't have a flaw to put the rug on. And they were going, well, we can pack it up so smaller you can carry. Give me a break. No. I don't have a house. I don't have a floor. It's great. I love all the swirling and the apple juice. But I'm not motivated to buy it. Yeah, because the basic state is I don't have any place to put it. This is what sort of happens with this. This advertising that's going on in your head all day, trying to sell you something. If you believe something, you'll be the biggest consumer of all that bullshit. If something gets broken, you'll have an immunity to it. Yeah? It's trying to sell you dreams of being happy, but they're always put off in time. You are inherent. I don't even like the term happy. It has too much meaning in this place. It's mixed with outside and inside stuff and everything. Contentment. Contentment's the better bet, yeah? Because you can be content without the symbols of happiness. You can be quite content. That once you're satisfied, you won't be in the consumer line to buy these highfalutin ideas of how to get satisfied. You will already be in what they're promising as a result of doing a lot of other stuff. You will actually be it. Yeah? You'll have an immunity to all of this stuff. So this is my second time of saying that's it. I mean it this time.